Hi, it's Dave here from systemhub.com, and I'm excited today to actually chat with a really successful power duo who runs a very successful company over in the States that we've been working together, would be over 2 years now, and really watch sort of the practice grow. And what I wanted to do with this call is, I suppose, provide a little bit of a showcase of some of the different insights and challenges that business owners have as they're growing a business, because Mike and Amy have just done a fantastic job in growing their business, and it's been a pleasure to work with them because they're such sharp, astute marketers themselves. And then sometimes you just need to work with someone to get a little bit of that outside perspective. So it's worked incredibly well. So maybe to start, I don't know, Mike or Amy, who wants to sort of introduce themselves first and maybe tell a little bit about the company and what you guys do over at Inception websites?
Well, you can start.
All right, I'll start. So, yeah, Amy and I are both former chiropractors, so we still are chiropractors, but we don't practice anymore. We for the most part, do websites and full internet marketing for chiropractors around the country, some in Australia and a few other parts of the world, but most of our clients are in the States. And, over the last 4 years or so, we've grown from having 0 clients to today we're a little over 500 clients. And so, it's been a really good change for us. It's been a way different world of work than what we used to do when we were seeing patients every day. But it's been fun, and thankfully we met Dave along the way, so we can actually can grow the way we were. I think some of the things in the beginning, and I'm sure we'll get into that in this discussion a little bit. But we certainly have faced some challenges along the way, and Dave's been a huge help. You've been an amazing help to get us past those hurdles. So,
Essentially, when we started, we didn't know anything about any of the kind of work that we do. So Mike and I had to really teach ourselves optimization.
No, we knew SEO and optimization pretty well, but we didn't know how to build websites and
do graphic design. So anyways, we taught ourselves all of that. And so as our business grew, we had to, acquire more staff, make sure that they could help with responsibilities. And so a lot of different challenges, but, definitely as the marketing grew, how to manage the growth of all the new clients. And so when we met you, I remember one of the first questions you asked, you said, well, how do you keep track of your clients and, where they're all going in the flow of your work? And Mike said, well, we have a cork board. And you said, well, what program is that? And Mike said, no, it's a cork board on the wall. And so definitely.
It was working fantastic when I was at the time, but when we started having more staff members, it wasn't really effective. And I think that was probably the biggest part where you helped us in the beginning, is we weren't aware of what was. I know we went to the seminar where we met you and we met some of the other guys there, and quite a few people, even other than you, said to us, you guys are about to explode and you don't realize it. And we didn't really know what we had going at that time. And I think we knew we were doing well, but we didn't know what was coming, and we didn't know the kind of systems that we were going to have in place to be able to handle that. And you could see that right away when you started working with us. And it's been funny. We've talked about this a few times over the last couple of years. We've laughed about it, that stuff that you said the first day we talked, we finally started, fully implementing and getting done years later. It wasn't, you knew we needed to have that stuff done already, but we weren't ready for it at that time, and we've kind of worked into it. And but it's been super helpful so far. So
Inception websites, the services, because you kind of touched on a little bit, but that you offer like a full range of different services, everything from website building to Facebook advertising, the full gamut of services through to chiropractic industry. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, so if a chiropractor comes to us within about 5 to 7 days of whenever they start, we'll have a really nice, very well optimized website up and running for them. We limit our clients in cities so we don't end up with 10 people with the same design in the same city. We never allow that kind of stuff to happen. But we set up Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+. We do all their social media accounts, their directory listings, clean up any duplicate issues they have with Google Plus that are out there. So in our industry of chiropractic websites, I would say we do more than really any other company does. And we do it at a fairly low cost. I mean, when we go to seminars, people say we should charge $1,500 a month for what we do. And probably based on what other people charge and what they do, we should, but we can, especially because we have good systems in place at this point, we can deliver a really high quality product very quickly. And because we're kind of niche specific, I mean, we do once in a while, we'll do some dental things or lawyer sites or whatever, but we don't, for the most part, we focus hard on chiropractic, and because we have those systems in place in chiropractic, we can keep our costs pretty low and still deliver a really good product to the person on the other side pretty quickly. And now we're offering Facebook advertising and Google AdWords advertising, and pretty much everything a chiropractor would need done we can handle and do it pretty efficiently and usually at a lower cost than what most people can, because
so it's
one area.
So it's very much a service-based business where you're dealing directly with a business owner, and you're not meeting them in person. Like, a lot of it's done over the phone, online, so through emails, and you kind of built up the team to help deliver that service. I'm just trying to help people as they kind of listen to this, because then they can try and see which elements will cross over with their own business, think about where they are in a similar journey and which parts would make most sense for them. So,
and up until very recently, we have 7, how many total people? Have 7 or 8 now? Seven. So out of our 7 employees, the first 6 that we had, which included Amy and I, had no internet formal training. No website. We all kind of learned. I met you because I watched your YouTube videos, and that's how I learned SEO in the early days when I was still practicing as a chiropractor. And that kind of got me started down the right path, and that, showed me who I should be listening to and who not to. And that helped tremendously. So, and today we have one person that's actually formally trained in, coding and web design, but, we haven't really needed. And I think to some degree it's been an advantage of ours not having that background, because we didn't think the way that everyone else did. We thought of things the way that we imagined they should be, and so when we started building websites the way we did, and we would call hosting companies, they're like, no one does it this way. What do you mean you're building websites like that? I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, it's not the way they would teach you to do it in school, but it worked, and like, it was hard because no one could help us, because we didn't have anyone that we could call and ask questions to, really. But it's been valuable at this point because we kind of have this skill that no one really has for the most part out there. We're kind of an unusual business to some degree in how we do things and how we function. But anyway.
I think one of those things that really stood out for me when we first started working together is you'd solved one of the problems that a lot of business owners always struggle with. In their head, this is one of the big first hurdles that they need to get over is, okay, well, how am I going to get clients through the door? And you had developed a really smart direct mail package that you were sending out that's been working quite consistently for some time now. And just going through that is a great way to lead generate, get your inbound calls, and then you had a little bit of a process on how to sell them into one of your packages, which is an ongoing recurring business. That's another little point to keep in mind. Yeah. You got the recurring revenue is another big thing that's worked incredibly well for your business. But were there some other things, either breakthroughs or challenges that you came up against as you're building the business that you found different solutions for, or that we talked about?
I mean, the marketing part in the beginning was somewhat tough. I mean, chiropractic in the States is a difficult thing to market. I mean, it's a really hard thing to market compared to most service industries. So I think having as much background as we did in marketing that well, we're kind of relentless on marketing things. So like, eventually I'll find something that works. And the interesting thing in our business so far is that one thing is by far the best thing that we've found. And we've tried almost everything at this point. And it still is by far and away our largest, source of new clients is the one marketing we figured out so far. And, I guess I think, we were trying to talk about, what challenges we had also. And
I think that really the biggest thing is just, as if you have something like a marketing piece that's working really well, it's bringing in the clients, that's fantastic. Most people have to struggle with finding the input of new clients, but then, really taking those clients and executing a very good product like we were talking about. You don't want to waste that. So, we right away just knew, gosh, it's important. We've got to make sure from the first phone call, through all those correspondences by email, phone call, whatever afterwards, we want to do a good job because we want to keep this client. And I would say
all of that stuff was easy when we had 3 or 4 new client growth in a month. When we went from that to some months having 30 growth in a month, that's the first couple of times that happened, we were backed up for months. We'd have the websites built, but the social media stuff wouldn't get completed for 2 months.
What we would have to do is stop our marketing, if you remember.
Right.
We'd have to stop marketing to kind of catch up with all the work.
Mm-hmm.
And, this year we actually marketed the whole year, and we never stopped our marketing and kept up with all the growth. And it's really because of kind of the evolution of where the business has come to now. If we would have had this constant marketing going on 2 years ago, we would have just skidded on the pavement. Really, it would have hurt the business. But now we can easily handle it. Plus, create new products and new projects, and it's nice to be creative without worrying about stopping marketing, or we can't handle the growth, or whatever. So,
that's quite counterintuitive for a lot of business owners, because most of the time they think, oh, my problem is I don't have enough clients, and they'll focus on just doing that. But then, if without the back end systems all set up, you can break a business that way. And sometimes some business owners are more particular about delivering great value. That was one thing that really stood out for you when we started working together, is very particular about delivering a great product and service through to your end clients. And that's been, I think, again, another competitive advantage is that you're really conscious of delivering value. And I know, we've talked about different products and services that you could sell to your existing database because you've got such a large client base, and you're always like, okay, yep, you wanted to prove it 100% and go, yep, I know if we're going to roll this out to the client, they're going to get many times their money back on it. And that bonds these clients to you that stick with you for so long.
It's a crucial, in chiropractic, and it happened to us as chiropractors, we got taken advantage of so many times as business owners. You don't really know what you're buying, and people will just sell you whatever they can sell you. And like today I had a client, someone that called, and I talked him out of working with us because he was already ranking good. He didn't want to spend any money. He was getting 3 new patients a week from his site, which in the chiropractic industry is pretty good, and he was in a very small city. It didn't make sense for him to work with us unless he was going to do Facebook advertising and spend, he would have had to spend $1,000 a month, and he wasn't spending any money right now. So I said, if you want to stay small, then just don't hire anybody and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing really good, like that.
How did he respond to that?
Most of the people that he would call would never say that to him. Yeah. But, I bet someday down the road he'll do Facebook, because after I went through our Facebook stuff, he said, I want to check in with you guys in a couple months, and if that's working well, I definitely want to do that, because probably because I said what I did, but if I had forced him into a website stay, he probably wouldn't have been that happy with it. He would have liked it, but I don't think his numbers would have gone up a lot from what he already had. His current website was okay, and then I would have been giving him kind of false promises, and then you lose trust immediately, and then they don't want to do anything with you. And if business owners feel like they can really trust you because you're honest with them and you're not just trying to make a profit all the time, then they'll come back to you with more projects than you can handle. And that's kind of what happens now. Like, we're not doing any marketing right now because it's the end of the year, and we've probably sold 5 or 6 websites, and we had somebody come in that might bring us 100 websites this week. And like, all of that, most of that comes from honesty and all the information we give away. And, we give away a lot of information about marketing that we could sell, but we give it away because it just gives people a way to get to know us and trust us. And you've done that too. I know that's how I got to know you. You give away a lot of really good information online, and that's how we got to know you as well. And clients of yours. And so
I think that education-based marketing is, and just being helpful and honest and transparent and letting people know when you can and can't help them is a good way to do business. Have there been any other sort of insights and breakthroughs? I know in a moment we'll probably talk a little bit about systems. Was there any other things that you look back on now, if another business owner was listening to this and if you could give them some advice that, hey, I would do this sooner? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I would work with you sooner. No, but really, I think, when we first got started, we'd had chiropractic coaches when we were practicing and seeing patients. And we've always told other business owners that we've ever met, you have to have a business coach. You have to have somebody that, it has to be the right person too. It's got to be somebody that really is paying attention, because we've had coaches in the past too that listen.
Yeah.
But they're thinking about their next client and they don't remember the next call, what you really talked about. I mean, I really felt every time you've actually talked with us, that you really dive in, I mean, it's kind of like you're almost sitting here with us at the conference table. Like I've never had very few coaches like that.
It's just the same thing I was kind of just talking about. If your purpose is all about the money, there's a problem. Like if you just help people and you just give. I have so many phone calls that go pretty long, and I know I'm not going to make a sale out of it. Like that call today was an hour of my time probably. I know I'm not going to get paid right now, but it was just the right thing to do, and he needed some information, and I gave him the information. I'm like, that's so rare that someone does that. Like you do that, and that's why we've had tons of coaches in our career of chiropractic and stuff, and most of them last about 3 months, because after the first, we get the sales pitch, they tell us all this amazing stuff that's going to happen. We don't get anything close to what they said. Amy and I get things done fairly quickly most of the time, outside of some things.
Yeah. Action takers.
We get most things done pretty fast, and so like if a coach if there's not much to the coach, we go past them pretty fast. There's not much they can help us with anymore. That hasn't happened with you, and it's because you actually care about what you're doing and you actually put time into what you're doing. And like I think a lot of business owners get too concerned about. We all want to make money, and so do I do for sure. But like I'm not sitting here all day going like, man, I got to get some money out of this person. Like the money part comes. Like. We get plenty of clients that we'll continue to get plenty of clients. Sometimes we'll turn some away. Some won't be a good fit for us, but we don't just take every person that comes to us, and we don't try to tell everybody everything we can to try to sign them up. Sometimes people say to me, it sounds like you're trying to talk me out of this. And I am sometimes, like it's not right for them, and that's the right way to do it. And that person then will refer me 5 people. They won't work with us, but they'll send 3 friends to work with us because they're like, wow, this guy was so honest with me. Maybe you should work with him, so.
I think the value of a coach too, though, is, I think sometimes you get so stuck in your box. It's nice to have someone else that can look in and just see and observe, because
it's critical. I mean, we would be nowhere near where we are right now if we didn't work with you. And like every time we have a call, there's something that you trigger in our heads that we weren't thinking of, that we're like, this Facebook thing came because of that, and it's probably going to become a gigantic part of our business. Like you didn't even bring it up, but you were talking about different things we could do, and John and I were like, oh man, after the call, he started working on it, and now it's probably going to become a huge part of our business now. So
so you've lit a fire many times.
It helps us, it gets us out of the box a little bit. And also too, I mean, as we've gotten bigger and we're making more income, like there isn't this like desperate drive to like have to grow, because we've done pretty well at this point. So having you there keeps us going, it especially keeps me going. And like if I'm not going good, then we don't grow very much, because I usually do most of the marketing stuff. So like if I get complacent and I'm not fired up about doing something, then
like I said, you've lit a fire. So.
You're too kind. I think the brilliant thing about you guys is that it's such fertile ground. It makes it very easy to plant seeds, because you're action takers, you implement very quickly, you're already quite astute marketers, so it makes it very easy just with a little bit of guidance to kind of really get going. I know one of the big breakthroughs that we had when we first started working together was around, because you'd figured out your front end marketing, which a lot of people get stuck on. Then it was interesting to kind of see almost like spiky marketing, where you kind of market for a little while, handle the clients, get low on clients, go back and market. And this year, seeing the ability to market all the way through, I think a big part of that has been the way that we've started to systemize. And I know initially we started even just doing some real basic documentation of systems and processes in text files and things like that. I know Amy's a little bit of the systems person in the business. It'd be good to hear a little bit about just the way that you've started to implement systems, because it can be a big project when you first think about systems. I'm just wondering how you tackled it.
Well, I think what sometimes is frustrating, like for Mike, is, they're changing all the time. As the business is growing, a system doesn't just stay as it was in the beginning. The system is always, changing, evolving. So, I think that's an important realization, is that you can't just write a system and go file it away. You have to, train on it with your staff. You have to come back to it. They have to be able to say, hey, this is changing. And I think the biggest thing too is that, we don't have to write all the systems. They're there because we verbally taught staff, as the systems change, but they can help, write them up and edit them and keep, altering them. And, it's not always going to have to be something that we have. I mean, we have to have attention on it, absolutely, but we don't have to be sitting there, till the wee hours of the morning typing all of them. We've taught them well enough that they can help. But it's definitely an evolving process, that's for sure. And like I said, in the past, we've used Microsoft Word documents or sticky notes or whatever, and it's really ineffective because you have to keep coming back to that system. So if it's not somewhere universal where, your staff can say, hey, Dr. Amy, this has changed because this plugin's bad or that's not working anymore. If it's always a sticky note that's coming to you and you have to go and edit it in your file, or, you don't do it then. So, I think what we're going to be talking about System Hub is going to be just, the next huge part of our business, because right now, we want to empower our staff to be, we're paying them to be there, do the work. It'll give them a huge,
the system, I hate it when we spend time working on something and then we don't use it and we do it again. And so there's definitely been a lot of frustrations in working on systems, which in the beginning I wasn't the most happy person about. And I know, Dave, you're awesome at you're the best in the world at systems, and Amy loves systems, and
I would come work for you and just do systems.
I put up the systems because we have to have them. I just fly by the seat of my pants most of the time, but that's not a good way to do it either. So, when we first started working on systems, we were typing these things out and printing out this sheet of paper and filing this thing away. We spent a ton of time doing that. It never got used. It was pretty much a waste of time. Other than that, it helped us to start to learn how to do a system, even though we kind of did them the wrong way the first time, because we did systems for everything. And there are certain things in our business that need systems and certain things that change so much that doesn't make sense to have typed out sheet system on. So then we started using Dropbox, I think, after that, and that was better. But it still is very hard to access. It's you got all these boxes in there. We still use Dropbox partially right now as we're kind of making this transition. But if there was some way to snap our fingers and get it in System Hub, I would do it in a second. Because I go into Dropbox, I can't find anything. I know it's in Dropbox somewhere, but we have all these boxes and there's stuff all over the place. And I can't.
The man syndrome. The man can't find.
I can't find anything. So it's almost not even worth having in there right now. But with System Hub, it's so much more organized. You can click on something and folders come out, and then more folders can come out, and then the way the information is in there, it's not just a bunch of junk in a box. Like it's actually organized. So like if somebody, you can have videos and all the stuff that you can lay out on those pages, it's perfect for us. I mean, we couldn't have anything better. And we've used Podio, we use also, and that helps us kind of contain. We need Podio to be able to contain our general client information and all of that stuff. Maybe we could use System Hub for that too, I suppose. But Podio's been pretty effective for creating different apps and tracking leads and doing that kind of stuff. But it's not a good place for us to put systems in. You know, like before System Hub came along, all we had was Dropbox, and it was okay, but it just wasn't really that user friendly to be able to function with unless you really put a lot of time and training in. And it certainly wouldn't be user friendly if you have a new staff person come in that you're trying to train on stuff. Like Dropbox is a nightmare for that. So like if you really know what's going on, Dropbox can work, but I think System Hub is going to be a pretty crucial piece this next year for us to get fully implemented and done.
Oh, and it's not just for brand. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, and that's coming from the guy who doesn't like systems. That made me feel really good.
I'm quite impressed with it so far, though. I mean, I think it's everything that Dropbox was supposed to be. Kind of that we were trying to make Dropbox into something that it really wasn't designed to be, and like it. And I know a long time ago you guys were doing that too, I think, and that's kind of where System Hub came from, because you didn't like how it worked either. And I think we're going to go from having kind of this Dropbox semi-useless system that a few members of our staff actually use to System Hub that everyone on our whole staff will use efficiently and effectively, and it'll be a piece that we can't really function without, especially as we continue to grow and add more staff. It's just going to be one of those bedrock things of our business, just like Podio kind of is right now for tracking clients for our system stuff. So if you need to learn something, you're going to know right where to go to get it.
I think too, it's, we keep saying like new staff, we've said a few times, it's for new staff, System Hub will be great for them to initially learn what's going on. But I think even for our, older staff, it'll be good because they can actually go somewhere to learn, like, hey, if I want to move into that position, how do I start learning the skills I need to know so I can maybe one day get to that job, that position. Right now they'd have to sit and spend time with me or Mike. And, we're busy all day long. So it's nice if it's all there for them. And if they, are motivated to go learn ahead, hey, that's, the skill set in that position and all the tasks and procedures that go with that. So I think as much as it's helpful for new staff, it's also helpful for existing staff to progress on and move on without always having to cling by your side. So
I would say, we're a relatively small company. We don't have that many employees. If we were a web company that had 100, 200 employees, like, I don't know how they can function without something like that in place. And I'm sure they have things in place, but, I'm sure if we walked into some of the companies that do chiropractic websites that have, 8,000 clients that have been around a lot longer than us, they have some kind of systems in place that they're using. But I would think even for those companies, this would be a better setup probably than what most of them probably are using right now, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering, as you guys started to implement systems as well, were there any core systems that you focused on doing first? Like, what were some of those early systems, Amy or Mike, that you worked on? That you remember documenting? Because I know you're kind of building out more and more, but were there some ones that you started with?
Just really our beginning process of handling a client, so that if a new person did start working on the team, could they quickly get a good idea of how, just the general sales process happens from start to finish, and then, breaking down each part of that process of, from sales to final execution of product, if it's part 1, 2, 3, or whatever, can they fully kind of just understand the cycles in it? And then you just keep breaking it down like a funnel, from the bigger bigger parts of it down, you know, to the smaller functioning pieces inside of each one. So that's probably where we started.
For us, especially in our business too, there's like little technically kind of things that they're easy to do, but if you're brand new and you haven't worked in the internet industry before, they can seem like climbing Mount Everest. You know, like how do you forward a URL? Like how do you fix someone's broken email when you put their site up and their email is not working? Like, I mean, those kind of things are going to be invaluable inside of System Hub, because right now, or in the past when that would happen, one of our upper level people had to fix that problem because they didn't have enough time to train all the other people how to do it. Whereas now, you know, we can send them to a page and there's a video there of us explaining it. They've got bullet points to look at. There's documents we can attach, all of that stuff. And now we can actually, it just frees us up, you know. And I think the more free time that John and Amy and I have in the business, the faster the business grows. Because when we have time to be creative, we grow 10 times faster than we do when we're stuck in the, you know, everyday jobs of building websites and, you know, fixing silly things. Like that's stuff that our staff has to be able to do for us. But there's a lot of little things to teach someone, you know, and there's no real way to learn this stuff other than us teaching you, because there's not really, you know, you can't hire someone out of school that knows how to do the kind of stuff that you guys do there or what we do. I mean, those are, a lot of times the worst people we've hired are the people that went to school for this. So,
and I think what happens too, and you know this in your business, there's just circumstances that don't occur every single day. They're just really random. You know, sometimes it'll be this week, maybe it'll be in 2 more weeks, and you can't always catch every single staff member and say, hey, this is what happened today. You know, it's just, it's too many things. So it's nice if it's all in one place. And like I said, they can go and read. And, you know, in our team, we really push them to keep learning. We do different things throughout the year. You know, this summer we spent a lot of time I kind of made like a Q&A question and answer sheet that we went through all summer. We'd go take our chairs and sit outside and we just quiz them. And, you know, so anyways, you know, I think
in our business, and I think in every business, I don't care what business it is, everybody wants to have freedom. They want to get to this point where they're making a lot of money and they have free time. And like almost every business owner that's out there, if they ever get to the point where they're making a lot of money, they have no free time at all. And I know when we first met, like one of the tasks right away was that I had to take some time off. I never ever took time off, and Amy didn't either. I mean, now we take quite a bit of time off. Our staff is trained better. They, you know, the systems that we have in place allow us we can kind of walk away and they can run things without us for the most part right now. And, you know, goal certainly at some point is get to a place where we don't need to be here ever. You know, like the staff has all the systems there. They've been trained well enough, and we really don't need to be here at all. We can do what we want to do any time, and we like being here, so we're here a lot anyway. But so not rambling.
Well, I was just going to say, I think without something like System Hub, there's no way. It's hard to have. There's no other tool.
The only way you can do it without System Hub is to have binders all over the place that, you know, with little notes sticking out of them that you flip through the cork board. Like that's kind of like the old cork board we had. You know, it's okay. I mean,
But the problem is then, you know, does everybody every time have to update every binder versus?
Yeah, it's so much more fast and efficient when it's done online. Like, I mean, we would be in the Stone Ages right now if we were still using a cork board, you know, like we did in the past. I mean, Podio allows every person on our team to instantly get access to all the information they need whenever they need it. And System Hub is the same thing. It's just for different stuff, you know, like it'll be that same thing, but for higher level, more technical issues that require more explanation. It's not just like finding someone's phone number or their address or something, you know, or their Google Plus login that you need all of a sudden. You know, Podio is great for that, but System Hub, you know, will cover. It's going to fill in all the gaps of the places that are still wasting a lot of our time, you know, like causing us to have to come back and help teach somebody. And the smarter our staff gets, they're all very good at what they do at this point. They can create the systems and System Hub for us too. We don't have to do it for them. And part of their job is to make their own systems and then review them with us. And it just helps to empower them too if they get to participate in that. I think, they get to help design those things. So
I just love being a part of watching the business grow and seeing what you guys are doing, because you're building a fantastic business that's very inspirational for a lot of other people. And I think you're 2 and 3 moves down the path from where a lot of particularly startup entrepreneurs are. Once you sort of start, you've kind of broken through a few of those challenges. And I know at every level in business, there's always just different challenges, but now I think you'll start to face a different quality of challenge. So it'd be good to watch as the integration with System Hub really gets integrated within the business, and maybe we have a part 2 a little bit further down the line. Be just great to see. But maybe we'll wrap it up there. I don't know if there's any final sort of little bits of advice or anything that you wanted to finish on. Any aspiring entrepreneurs, if you were to go back in time maybe and meet a younger version of yourself, that you might tell yourself?
I think, we actually spend a fair amount of time just for free working with businesses in our city in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where, if we're going somewhere for something and we see a business that we think is really cool and we can see they're trying hard, but we can see places where they have issues that they could fix, and they want help, we'll offer to help them. And I think the one thing that a lot of times when we try to help somebody, they do really good, but they revert back into their old patterns and they just won't make change, and then they end up with the same thing they had before. They aren't able to adjust and make changes. And I think Amy and I have been through so many changes that change is somewhat easy for us now. We don't really fight it too much, although sometimes we fight it a little bit.
You come around in the end.
Come around eventually. But anyway, I think if there's one thing that I think most business owners lack, if they're not making it, it's they're not willing to do whatever they have to do to make it successful. 4 years ago, Amy and I were living in my parents' basement. We went from having a big chiropractic office to losing everything we had, and we built this business with absolutely no money, working out of the basement, and we just learned and spent. We didn't stop, and that's why when we first met you, you're like, you got to take a break. I was so I just wouldn't. We both were like that. It wasn't just me. We wouldn't stop because we would not allow ourselves not to be successful. And a lot of times we'll meet somebody that's trying to build a business and they want to, man, I want to make a lot of money and I want to do all this. But they're like, I got to go out with my friends tonight. I can't do that. If in the beginning, and even now, if you said, Mike and Amy, the only time I can talk to you is, 4 a.m. in the morning on Sunday morning or something, we would do it. We wouldn't even think about not doing it. We'd be like, all right, we'll be there. We just wouldn't. And a lot of times I think that's the difference between someone that's doing really well and someone that's not making it, is however hard you think you're working, and a lot of times it's not so much about how hard it is, how smart you're working, but there's someone that's doing more than you are. We think we're doing really good, and you are our coach because you're doing more than we are. You're more organized and you get more done than we get done, and and there's people that get more done than you get done. So those are some of the billionaires of the world that have mastered the ability to focus themselves and organize their time and get a lot done in a short period of time. And that's kind of the key, is being able to maintain that focus and, not follow along with what everyone else is doing, and just, get done what you need to get done. Yeah. So I could ramble on that for quite a while.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. That really focusing in on your own game and just working it harder than anybody else is doing. I think that's excellent. Amy, did you have any final ones? Or
actually, one just popped in my head. One, I guess, thing that we talk about with our staff all the time, and we're constantly working on too, is finishing a work cycle. So whether it's a system or anything, don't stop and start. Just finish it and then go on. Because I think for all of us, whether it's writing up a new system or whatever, I think we don't get all the work done we should, just because we don't complete work cycles. And we get more work done when we complete those work cycles, and it's easier, you have more free time. But I think that's been a big thing for us and our staff. So
yeah, very good. All right, well, maybe we'll wrap it up there. If people want to keep an eye on what you guys are up to, where's the best place for them to head?
Probably to our main website, which we're actually redesigning right now. I can't tell you that yet. It's almost finished.
Oh, excellent.
It's pretty good. I think you're gonna like it. It's a pretty big step forward from the last one. So it has lots of case studies in it. So like
I'll be happy with that.
They're like built into all the pages. So I have to finish them.
But it's Inception, like the movie, -websites.com. So Inception-websites.com.
Perfect. Thank you two so much. It's definitely a pleasure working with you, and looking forward to many years to come.